Okay, my last video I had mentioned the fact that I probably wouldn't do any more Endeavor Trikes videos just because I'm no longer in that business, but I had been going through my computer and cleaning up some files and that, and I came across a folder that was named Custom, and in that custom folder were 20 unique builds that I had pulled out of the 106 that I built. And even though every one of them to me was unique, some of them just had some extra flavor, I guess, was added to them. Going from just one-of-a-kind bikes, I had a couple one-of-a-kind, and the other ones were unique paint finishes, designs, and some historical significance. So I arranged them all in no particular order. The only ones that are actually in order is I start out with my prototypes and explain the 4 prototypes that I had built and a little bit of that, but then I just kind of branch off into a random selection of trikes that I thought really turned out very nicely, were unique, or like I say, one of a kind. I had a couple of those. So it's a long video. Hopefully you'll find it kind of interesting. I hope so. And probably be about the last one, I guess, because I said that before and I'm probably a liar. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at them and see if we can get all the way to the end. All right? So this is the very first prototype I built back in 2008, and this was a crashed ST1100, which I called Stealth 11 when I got done with it, because it was a ST1100 and it had a stealth bomber look to it. I just kind of cobbled this thing together out of sheet metal and pop rivets and whatever I could find. There was really nothing left of the bike when I first bought it. It had been barrel rolled, so the fairing and all the plastic was gone. So I had to salvage up a bunch of parts and stick it together. And it was ATV parts for the steering assembly and all that. So it really wasn't what I would call 100% roadworthy. There's a good look of the stealthness. I'm lucky I didn't get killed, to tell you the truth, but I put 20,000 miles on this thing and drove it all over the place. Gravel roads, backcountry stuff. It was great. It was a wonderful machine, but it was, I would never sell it or anything, which I really couldn't because I didn't have a patent yet. So I ended up actually cutting this apart and throwing it into salvage yard when I got done with it. But it wasn't 100% safe, but it sure was a lot of fun. And I got a lot of good miles out of this one. And it did prove the concept. That's the main goal of the whole thing, was to prove the concept that it actually would work and you could drive it. And like I say, I put a lot of miles on it. 70 miles an hour was not a big deal. And here you can see I kind of touched up the paint. The original paint was rattle can barbecue black. This was redone a little bit with clear coat, so looked a little bit better. But I had this bike for about 3-4 years before I got rid of it, so it did serve the purpose, and it was fun. So that's the first of the bunch. Okay, this is the second prototype. This is a 1999 Honda Valkyrie, which I bought from a salvage yard nearby, and it had hit a deer and was pretty much crushed in the front, which worked out really great for me. So I assembled this one, and again I used ATV parts on it, which weren't the best, but it was much better than the last build. And I actually took this one to an invention show and won first place for the best invention of 2016, I believe it was. I built this one in 2010 and put quite a few miles on it. I think I had about 180,000 miles on this bike, and I was putting it away in storage this fall, and I had a carburetor leak, and it led into a fire which destroyed the unit. So I lost this one. But anyway, that's the way things go. Here it was redone for the second time, and refined a little bit, has a little different look, a little different paint scheme, and took it camping and that kind of thing. Built a different trailer for it, and you know, there's always something you have to change. But it was a great machine, very durable. Never really had a mechanical problem except for carburetors. Had a lot of carburetor problems with this one, but it proved the point, and it was award winner. And yeah, it's you know, proof of concept. They aren't the prettiest thing, but they get the job done, and they prove that it actually works. And this one, outstanding, the way it handled and everything. Great machine. I have a lot of praise for the Valkyrie. They're a great machine. And this is prototype number 3, which was a 2001 Honda Goldwing GL1800, which this is one that was not damaged. I actually took my Goldwing and converted it. This was done in 2012, and my wife was not real pleased when she saw what I had done, but she got used to the idea and decided 3 wheels was better than 2. But we took this one on a lot of trips. As you can see, this one is also, like the other prototypes, not the best looking until this came about. This is the redo of this one. It was much more refined. This one had automotive spindles and brake assemblies, pretty much modern day equipment on this one. So this bike was really, we took this one all over the country. Took it, you know, Niagara Falls, all kinds of different places. And as you can see, as time went on, things got a little more refined. And this one is getting pretty close to production ready. This was, like I say, built in 2012. And we took this one to Sturgis and a lot of different places. And this was, again, just, you know, the GL1800s are great machines to start with, and adding the extra wheels and everything just made it so much more versatile. And this is actually the one that got me going on getting the patent and thinking about really going into production, because it turned out to be such a refined, good machine. And here's in the natural way I drive them, which is in the backcountry. Get them on the gravel roads, they're just great. So this was a good machine. I did sell this one, so that one is also gone and replaced with many others. This is actually the first refined trike that I ever built. This was like number 3. This is a 2006 Victory Kingpin. I purchased this bike. It was damaged, and it took me 11 months to get a title on it, but I ended up converting it to a trike, and it was my own personal one. This would be number 3. I did my, well, actually number 4. I did the Victory, the ST1100, my Goldwing, and then this. And this was the most refined one of the bunch. And I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it. Great bike. I can't say enough good things about Victory. It was wonderful. I did sell it, unfortunately, which I wish I never would have done. Motorcycle Monthly magazine actually took a couple of the trikes, including the Victory, and kept them for a weekend and test drove them and gave me really good reviews on it. Here they tried to actually tip it over on a dirt track. They couldn't do it. They could get it to slide sideways, but couldn't get it to tip. So this was really a wonderful, wonderful machine. Okay, this one was not actually a prototype. This was actually my very first production motorcycle, which I did in 2014. This was my son's 2010 Yamaha Raider. We converted this one specifically to take it to SEMA show in Las Vegas. We took it to Las Vegas, and he drove it around there a little bit, and we saw the sights and spent a ton of money for pretty much nothing. It was a waste of time, but we did end up building kind of a unique machine for that show. And as soon as we got back from Las Vegas, we disassembled this one, converted it back to two wheels, because this one was built specifically just for SEMA. Although he liked it as a trike and everything, but he wanted to sell the bike and buy a car, so we figured out it'd be easier if he converted it back to two wheels. So it was kind of a experience to go out to SEMA with something like this, and we did a video on it and stuff, and so it was kind of fun. Got a bunch of his friends and stuff involved in doing the body work and the paint and that kind of stuff, and so it was kind of a community effort of sorts. And we bought that trailer just to go to Las Vegas. I still have the trailer, so it all kind of worked out pretty nicely. Okay, I'm not an expert in Harley-Davidsons, but I believe this was a 95 or 96 Road King that the gentleman brought me to convert, and this was the first Harley-Davidson I had done. This was done in 2015, so it was also one of the first trikes I built. And that's Harry Shimoda, who was my painter, and this was when I was in the Napa store. I had a little very small shop in the Napa store, and Harry did all my painting for me. Excellent painter, just a perfectionist, and as you can see, he enjoyed taking it for a little test drive. He was pretty impressed, but as you can see, his abilities were outstanding. He did a lot of bikes for me. He did probably 100 of them. I think he did 100 out of the 106. So, you know, he really had a refined craft, I guess you could say. So the detailing on this one's very good. And the owner loved it. He ended up getting this bike because he had a knee replacement. But when he healed up real good and everything, he gave this to his wife, and he bought an Indian Scout. And I don't know, he had contacted me about converting the Scout, but I don't know what actually happened there. I believe his wife had passed away, so, you know, things kind of went sour. But it was a good bike, and he enjoyed it, and she enjoyed it, and that's what counts. So that was kind of a success story in a way. Beautiful machine, though. The color is just exceptional. I just think it really turned out very nice, and it was kind of a special thing because it was the first Harley. Now, this is my very first official production trike. This one incorporates the modular design, the two-piece frame, and all the aspects that carried on from here forward. This is the only trike that I built in my garage for production. After this one was done, I moved into the Napa store, into a small shop there, and continued working on them there. My son actually did the paint on this one, my youngest son, who was a body tech. So he did a really good job on this one. As you can see, the paint matched perfect. The quality is very good, and he did a really good job. But he had a regular job, so I didn't press him to do any additional work. I had Harry do the rest of my bikes. But this one turned out very nice for the first production bike. I think it went really, really well, and there's been refinements along the way, but this one actually turned out quite nicely. And I really do like the color. The black and the blue together really were outstanding. So pretty deal all the way around. I like this one. Okay, this is one of my, probably my most unique build. This was done in 2018. This is a ZZR1200 sport bike, or crotch rocket, if you want to call it that. But I converted this one. This, again, was one of a kind. Never done one like this before or since, either way. But he did want it repainted. It was kind of a dark blue, so we repainted it. The Kawasaki, this is official Kawasaki green. So we did new lettering on the tank and completely repainted the entire machine. And it really turned out pretty nicely. It's got a real unique finish to it. It's not a real high gloss. It's more of a satin finish. And the thing handled really good, had lots of power. My big concern was it was going to maybe be too much. But it's the first sport bike I ever did. And, you know, we did all the badges and everything on it. So it really turned out pretty nicely. And he was, I don't know if I mentioned, he was from Florida. So it probably got a little bit of mileage down in Daytona during bike week too. So that's always a big plus. And, you know, one of the pictures he sent me was this car. And he said, you know, can you come up with something close to that color right there? Well, it turns out the Kawasaki green was an awful close match. So we blended in with that and, you know, added all the details and everything to fit the bike. And it turned out really pretty good. Like I say, this was like it's a one of a kind. You're never going to see one like this again. And I did another bike for this fella last year because unfortunately the engine on this one blew up. So he sent me the front end and a bike, and I put the two together and sent it back to him. So I actually ended up doing two bikes for this this guy. So it worked out pretty nice. I've done several bikes for military personnel, and this is one of them. This one has kind of a unique paint scheme, so that's why I picked this one. And it also has an insignia on the hood, which the owner, I think he got the decal and I placed it for him. And it is a military, it has a military meaning. Be honest with you, I don't know what it is. So maybe somebody knows and they can enlighten me a little bit here. But as you can see, the paint job on this one was a little bit more elaborate. We did some shading and some different things, and it actually turned out really well. I think everything kind of fit together pretty nicely. So this was really the first on the unique paint scheme batch, I guess. And as you can see, I had it in my garage here where I usually took them home and cleaned them real good because I had a floor drain there. And as usual, they are competent riders in the snow. So that kind of worked out all the way around. Now this is the Kawasaki Vulcan I did. It's a 2007. I believe I did it in 2020. We did this one. And the paint scheme on this one is a little bit wild. As you see, we bordered a lot of the edges with white and put some wings on the hood and different things like that. Actually, the fairing, we added the white on the fairing and put the little skirts on the fenders on this one. So this one was pretty custom. Did quite a bit in the realm of paint on this one. And the Vulcan is really a good machine. Very powerful machine. And it was a real joy to be doing this one. But I like the paint scheme. Everything fit together so well. It blended in with the factory detailing. It actually makes the bike look like it was right from the factory, built like this. And you know, that's kind of the objective to the whole thing. So this one scores pretty high in the custom look and paint detail. So it was a pretty nice project, and it really turned out to be virtually perfect. And we're all pretty happy about the whole thing. So pretty good deal. So this is a another Goldwing. I did this one in 2021, and it's a little different color scheme. The other one was kind of a red shade. This is more of a yellow gold shading on the fenders with black pinstripe, which gives it kind of a nice transitional effect on the color. And this one had some extra lighting on it, so I thought I'd kind of highlight this one just a little bit. It's got the wink lights in the front. It's got the under the hood LEDs, and it also has a radiator grill lighting, which really kind of set the whole thing off. And you know, just kind of has a little more of a striking appearance, especially if you're driving around at night. This thing would stand out pretty nicely, so that's why I kind of picked this one as one of the special customs, I guess. Now this Goldwing was done in 2019, and I picked this one because of the obvious color. I think this is the only one I had done in this particular color. They had the seat, you know, kind of blended in there too. And I think this is the first one we actually did the truck bed liner on the fenders like this, which kind of blended in with the front grill area and that kind of thing. And this one just really stuck out. You know, at first I didn't know if I was going to like this bike when I saw it, you know, how it was going to turn out. But after it was all done, I think it really looked sharp. And like I say, it was a real eye catcher. As you can see, it's pretty hard to miss this thing. It kind of glows at you because it's got such a nice bright color. And yeah, I really warmed up to this one. I thought this was turned out very nice, and it just had a real appeal to it. So you know, so this kind of got in there in the top 20 list, I guess, because of that. This is a Victory cross country that I had done in 2020. This one has kind of a gunmetal flat finish to it. I think this was one of the first ones we did with the flat paint, and it matched up really good. The owner, Dave, has been in contact with me off and on, sent me pictures of different rides he's gone on, and even sends me Christmas cards. You know, just a great guy, just a super guy. And this one's from Massachusetts, actually. So, you know, that's kind of a far corner of the country. But this was a unique build. You know, the cross country is basically the Victory Vision with all the fairing and all that. But the frame and the saddlebags and that are the same as the Vision. So, you know, it's a pretty sturdy bike, pretty nice bike. Like I say, I'm a big fan of the Victories, and I'm a big fan of Dave here because he's just a great guy, and he was fun to work with, and he's been in contact, and yeah, he's very happy, makes everybody happy. So I'm glad to have done this one. Okay, this is another build I did in 2020, and this is a Goldwing, as you can tell. This one was really kind of unique. The owner here really wanted something special, and we went kind of around and around on different schemes and what we're going to do with this bike, and we came up with this, which is actually a three-tone finish. And he lives in Florida, so this one ended up at Daytona Bike Week, and he traveled all the way around, and he's been in contact with me off and on about this one too, and he's really enjoyed having it. And as you can see, we kind of put a little extra effort into the paint job on this one, and yeah, it turned out really pretty good. You know, like I said, we went around a little bit on how much we were going to do and what, you know, how extreme, because sometimes you get a little bit too carried away, and you know, it loses a little bit of its luster. But I think this one really blended together quite well. And one thing you have to get used to when you have one of these is people want to take pictures. They're always taking pictures, and we caught this guy snapping a shot of it while I was waiting for all bikes to come and get it. So that was something you got to expect. Okay, this is another 2020 bike. This is a Victory Vision, and I really like this one. The color combination between the I guess it's kind of an orange and the black, to me, is just perfect. This turned out really, what I think is A1. It's a really good blend on the colors. And you know, at first I wasn't real sure on this one either, because it was so bright and you know how it stuck out. But when it was all done, I think he actually trophied with this at a car show, which I believe, because it was an outstanding looking machine. This was the second one. I think I've only done 2 Visions, and this was 2 of the second one of the 2 I did. I'll be talking about the first one here pretty quick. But this guy was from Oklahoma, and here again, you know, I got these things all over the country, but it really turned out to be a spectacular machine, and be pretty hard to miss this one going down the road. She's quite the looker. Okay, this is one I did in 2019. There's quite a story here. The guy, this is the ST1300. He brought me 2 of them. They're both police bikes, and when they decommissioned the bikes, I guess what the officers did was wound them up and dropped the clutch, and they actually exploded the clutch on one of them, and the other one I think had a good clutch and everything in it. So I disassembled one and created one total machine out of the 2. It was quite a deal. But this was the only ST1300 I did, and it actually turned out really well. I mean, I took 2 scrap motorcycles that were pretty much demolished and put them together to build this. And it drove really well, it ran well, everything about it was just fine. And, you know, we repainted the whole thing, and it turned out really really pretty good. You know, it's a nice clean looking machine, and it is a sport tour bike, so it did have kind of the sporty ride and feel. And this fellow was from Stewartville, Minnesota, so not that far away from me. And yeah, he was real pleased with it, and it turned out just fine. And I think it actually is a pretty nice machine. So kind of a different story with this one. But, you know, you never know what you're going to get into. Now, this is a trike I did in 2019. This is brand new 2018 Honda Goldwing DCT. As far as I know, this is the only one in existence. I've only done one of these, and I know nobody else did. I got this bike with 5 miles on the odometer. The owner said they would not drive it as 2-wheel. They wanted 3-wheel. It was for the wife. This is her machine. And so I went ahead and took the challenge to do this one. No one else would touch it. No one else would do it. But I got it to work. It turned out really, really nice. It's a beautiful color. There are some warning things that come up because of the DCT, some warning lights, but it runs just fine. And it works just fine. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. And because of that, I only did this one and decided not to do additional DCT models. But it really turned out pretty sharp, and they were happy with it. And I think it's just kind of neat that it's the only one like it in the world. Like I say, no one else took the challenge to actually go ahead and do one of these as a correctly built trike. There's backwards trikes, but not correctly built trike. So that's kind of a cool thing. This is one of those bikes that's kind of a happy, sad deal. Gentleman came to me with this bike. This is a Arlen Ness custom. So Arlen did the paint on this one, on the bike itself, and then we had to match the fenders and the detailing on that. So I actually sublet that portion to a graphic artist who came over to the shop and actually custom painted the fenders and the hood to match the existing paint scheme on the bike saddlebags and the tank there. And this bike, actually, the guy ran over a pump that fell off of a truck, and I guess the bike launched itself about 3 feet in the air and came down, and he's survived and the bike survived, but I had to do some repair work on it. But it did work out just fine. And as you can see, this one was done in 2018, and it was really a neat project. This was the first Victory Vision I had done, and it was quite challenging because I'd never done one before. So I had to make up all the body panels and everything from scratch, and like I say, the paint scheme and everything, which really blended in. They did an excellent job on it, and that was the good part. On the bad part, the guy drove it for a couple of years, and he ended up with cancer and had passed away. So I kind of helped the new owners after the wife sold the bike, with some things on it. But yeah, that part was kind of bad. I mean, he was a really nice man, and we had some pleasant conversations together and that kind of thing. And as you can see, it's a unique build, and he really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed working with him. And it's you hate to see hear about customers like this falling on things like that, but he was from North Dakota, I believe. Might have been west Minnesota too. And here's his picture, and he had this license plate made up because it was the only one at the time, only reverse trike in the world. And it certainly, to this day, is the only Arlen Ness model. So that he was pretty proud of that. 17. This is a 2017 Indian Roadmaster. The gentleman who brought me this bike, he lived out in South Dakota near Sturgis, actually. So we went the extra 300 miles on this one. As you can see, really went crazy with the paint job. Put the little bonnets on the fenders and all that kind of stuff. And this shows it with the color on, but not the accent strips. And we actually got permission from Polaris Motorsports to use the logo, the Indian name, as you see here on the front of the bike. We had to get permission because that's a trademark name, and they said, yeah, go ahead, that's great, which really works out good for them too, because it really showed up the bike really nicely. And it's a nice color. It was a new color that year, kind of a lime green with the black. I think they go really well together. It was a very nice bike, very difficult build, but like I say, we did the extra work and everything, and this rode around in the Sturgis area, so I'm sure it had a lot of lookers, and it drove really well. It's a nice heavy bike, and it turned out really superb. I mean, this really was a fantastic job. My painter did a really great job on the finish and everything, so that was quite the deal. And last but not least, this is a older police bike, and the gentleman who owned this was actually a policeman, retired, and we happened to be going out to Texas, and we saw these police bikes parked on the side of the road. So I decided to use this color scheme and that, and we made up this badge, which went on the hood here. That's a decal that I had made up, and fit it to the hood and everything. And then we also did badges for the side of the gas tank and that, and got this whole thing to blend together. So it's got a little bit of the old police look with the newer modern trike design, and the bike worked out really well. He actually drove this back to Springfield, Illinois. I picked him up at the airport when he arrived, but he drove the bike home, so that was quite a deal. So I did ride along with him just to make sure everything was okay, and got him out to the freeway, which was about 15 miles. And then we bid each other farewell, and off he went. And I just talked to him not too long ago, and he's still enjoying the bike quite a bit, putting a lot of miles on it and everything. And it's another one of those kind of unique builds that just turned out really nicely. So here's a goodbye shot right here.